Hey everyone, my name is Tegan and welcome back to TandeWrites, where today we're going to be wrapping up my reading in April. And April was my most ambitious reading month yet. I read 15 books, but I will say that 7 of them were short stories. So it's like 8 full-length novels and then 7 little stories. So don't turn around and be like, yeah, I read 15 novels. I didn't read 15 novels. I read 15 items listed on Goodreads. And we'll get into some stats and then I'll say why I read 7 short stories this month. So my moods were predominantly mysterious, emotional and dark, with a bit reflective in there, which does make sense with what I was reading, because it's a little bit out of the norm to what I usually read. The genres were almost exclusively fantasy, young adult, and then you can see that short stories is a genre, apparently. And this is just like the stats on the story graph, stats page that I'm using, and I would love to know, why is an age category a genre? Because adult's not a genre on here, but young adult and middle grade is. Short stories is a genre? Like, sure, I guess. And like, why is... I guess LGBT is just a genre now. I've accepted that it probably is. As much as I keep resisting, like, no, it's representation, not a genre, because no other representation categories appear to be a genre, except LGBT. I'll dwell on that. And my average rating was 3.11 stars, and you can see that I'm going to say overwhelmingly read books that I didn't hugely enjoy this month, which was entirely the fault of my own, but I did it anyway, so I can't be mad about it. And as here is the chart of all the book covers of the books I read this month, and you may see that 7 of them look pretty much the same. And that's because I read... Amazon does these like Amazon original story series. They're like free to read on Prime Reading, and this one I think was called Into Shadow. And I read all 7 of them because I wanted to read The 6 Deaths of the Saint by Alex E. Harrow, because I needed that story in my life. And I thought, there's 7 of them, they're all short, I'll read them for my reading goal. And to me, it's suddenly quite clear why people only talk about very specific stories from this collection. And it appears I gave up on I gave up on this when I got near the end. But I'll go through and I'll try and do as much as I can. Okay, let's just get these first 7 out of the way. The 7 books from the Into Shadow series are... Actually, let's check. The Garden, Persephone, 6 Deaths of the Saint, What the Dead Know, Undercover... gosh, what they were 2 called? I read them most recently. The Candles Are Burning and Out of the Mirror Darkness. And I'll give you a brief summary if I can remember what they're about, and if I liked them. I would not give you the exact rating because I can't remember, and only 2 of them got positive ratings, I think. The first one, The Garden, is about a girl, the story takes place, she's got off a flight, she's got into a car with whoever's picking her up from the airport, and the entire story takes place on this car journey, and she's come to this country to like rediscover her family history or something. And the story is just the conversation about what's going to happen. And I did not enjoy it at all. Persephone was about... There's 2 kids at a school. They've just displayed some kind of magic power and they get taken into a helicopter into a like remote discreet building for, I guess, magic people. And that's all what happens. 6 Deaths of the Saint was... this was like a 4.5, beautiful, stunning short story. Can I fully explain what happened? It's kind of about... It starts off with this girl who's like dying in somewhere, in some kind of medieval town, and she gets visited by a saint who saves her, and then she goes on to become like the warrior for the king, and she makes the king more powerful. And I think each time she dies in battle, she's transported back to the start, when she was dying for the first time, and she like relives her life over and over again each time for the 6 deaths. And it's kind of about why she keeps proving her like undying loyalty to the king, who clearly doesn't really care about her except for the fact that she makes him more powerful and more powerful. And she's in fact kind of in love with her, her squire, her assistant, who is the one person who truly cares for her. And so much happens in this tiny little novel, and I was like on the verge of tears reading, and it's beautiful, it's stunning. I can't properly explain what it's about, because I feel like, is it getting into spoiler territory? How many spoilers can you have for a book that was, 30, 40 pages long? But I really loved it. What they did know is this duo who go about, I think, faking, like, possessions and... Not possessions, they do, like... What's it called when you're, like, in the room for the candles and you get visited by ghosts? Seances. I think they fake doing seances. So they come up to this place, they do a seance, they're trapped there overnight due to weather conditions, I think, and the girl, who is the one who gets possessed each time, gets chased down by this other guy for reasons I can't remember. And then the real ghost who's living on the premises saves her. I did quite like this one. Undercover is the next one that I quite liked. It's an undercover spy who goes in to like infiltrate this mafia gang, because in this world there's zombies. I would have loved this as a full-length book, by the way, to explore it further. And she's like, this gang is keeping a zombie who probably should be dead as like their prisoner or to entertain. And the zombie has like way too much consciousness for what they should have. And then the person undercover, this is like full spoilers by the way, the person undercover eventually realises that the zombie is the wife of the mafia gang leader, and that's why they're being kept hostage, because also the zombie wife was also an undercover cop at some point, and eventually the original undercover cop like frees the zombie, and I think they kind of ride off into the sunset together. Really enjoyed this one. The Candles Are Burning is about a woman who has like premonitions of death in an abstract sense, or she has to see a death and then that gives her premonitions for death, and she creates candles at some point. She thinks her daughter's going to die, but her daughter doesn't, and instead it's her. And then she makes a deal with the devil, in a sense, to be alive, but to keep making candles that will tell the devil when other people are going to die. That's a very bad description. It was okay. And Out of the Mirror Darkness is the last one, and I read most recently, so it should be fresh in my mind, but is it really? No. This takes place on a like 1920s silent film set, where like the lead actress of the film has come under this mysterious illness where she's like asleep. Not comatose, she's just sleeping and she can't wake up. And it's because she looked into a prop mirror that was from some kind of ancient empire and held a demon, and the demon is now in her. And also a dog. And then the people exorcise the demon, and that's about it. Very eclectic mix. I think they're just pitched as like a dark fantasy series, so there's like no really common theme or reason why they are connected for me. But sure, I really enjoyed Alex E. Harrow. And oh god, what else have I read this month? We got 2 audiobook rereads, which was Blue Lily Lily Blue and The Raven King, so I could finish off my, I say annual, it's more like every 2 or 3 years at this point, my Meg Civil or The Raven Boys reread. And I have like a newfound appreciation for Blue Lily Lily Blue, because I thought it was one of my lower ranking books at one point, but this is mostly just because of how I've changed as I got older. There's a scene where Gandhi's talking about, because he's made his entire identity hunting or searching for Glendower, and he has this conversation with Noah, I think, about like what would he be without the search for Glendower. Like, if he finds Glendower, what's his life purpose? And that resonated with me, with someone who can't move on or can't finish projects, because what would I be without them? And The Raven King is like, yeah, the first half's fine, the second half is a book that exists. I had 3 library book reads this month. First one was Self-Made Boys by Anne-Marie McClemmer, which is like the trans queer Gatsby reimagining. And I think it was fine. It was okay. Again, it's a book that exists, and I'm sure it's like a very important story for some people. But I'm not actually familiar with The Great Gatsby. I've not read anything about it. But even I know that the book, this reimagining, was not giving enough Gatsby for it to really be a Gatsby reimagining, in my opinion. And that seems to be like a thought shared by some reviewers. Then we had Ophelia After All, which I read because it's been on my TBR for a long, long time now. And I thought, maybe it'd be a good comparison title for the book that I keep saying the book I'm currently writing. The book that I'm currently querying, because it's a YA contemporary with like some LGBT characters. It's got the similar themes and that. And I quite enjoyed this one. I think I must have gave it 4 stars in the end. So I quite enjoyed this one, and I love that, first of all, the main character is having her queer awakening, her identity crisis. And she's someone who has always been romance-orientated, relationship-driven for the entire thing. And I like that she doesn't end up with a partner as her ending. And the other library book I read this month was Little Thieves by Margaret Owen, and I enjoyed it so much that I did have to buy a copy. And I've got the second one there, and I'm very much in love with this book so far. Little These is a Goose Girl retelling, but I know nothing about that fairy tale, that myth, that story to compare it. I just know that I had a good time reading this, and this is like the most fun I've had with a book in a while. Because, you know, it's a fantasy, it's funny, and it's genuinely funny, which is what I love in a book. It's got the sense of humour that I've not seen in a while, and it speaks to me so directly. And like, this is a book that was written for me specifically. No one else, just me. And yeah, I gave it 5 stars. I think I've only gave 2 or 3 books 5 stars this year so far. And not because I'm being like very overly critical with my ratings for myself. I just haven't found anyone that speaks to me. But this one, it speaks to me. Okay, then we have 3 physical reads. That's quite exciting for me. And here they are. So, what's this book called? A Curse for True Love, Our Infinite Fate, When Harry Was Here. When Harry Was Here and A Curse for True Love were on my physical TBR. Well, first of all on my physical TBR, and then on the very specific list of books of my physical TBR that I set myself to read this year. So it was like, hey, we finally made some progress. And I'm doing okay on my, that specific TBR this year. On my TBR as a whole, we're not going to talk about it. We'll do it kind of in order of when I read. Our Infinite Fates I read at the start of the month, and I will have a review coming out for this at some point probably this month, depending on what else I've got lined up. But this is a bit, when I first read it and when I first put it down, I thought, yeah, that's like a solid 4 stars, 3.5 stars. But since I've had time to dwell on it, it's down to 2 stars. This is a YA book about 2 characters who are like, registering of fate soulmates, but they're destined to kill each other in every lifetime. We don't find out why they're destined to kill each other until the final few chapters of the book. The ending completely derailed anything I did enjoy about the book up until that point. I won't talk about because this came out like pretty recently, so we're still in spoiler-free territory. I will say the one thing about this book is that not every other chapter, maybe like every 2 or 3 chapters of like the current timeline we're in, there is a flashback to one of the past lives. And I did quite enjoy reading those, no matter how repetitive they got, but I did quite enjoy it. It showed off a lot of the author's research and like commitment to diversity, things like that. But this is also like such a beautiful book. Like, this is the Alcrate edition, and it is stunning. I also only picked this up in the first place. I read one of her other books, which was Every Exquisite Thing, which I really enjoyed until the ending, so I should have seen that coming. But I got this because the author pitched it as Taylor Swift's song Exile as a book. And yeah, I can see the vibe. Next up was A Curse for True Love, which I only read because I know this series is very easy reading, and I've owned it since it came out. I got it in a Waterstones half-price hardcover sale. And I thought, I'm just going to read it to get it out of the way so I can finally get rid of all of this author's books. And this was like a 2 stars. The rest of this series, so I enjoy the Caraval series quite a lot. So this Once Upon a Broken Heart one, they're like fine. The best book is the first book, Once Upon a Broken Heart, in my opinion, and that's still like okay. So it only goes downhill from there. And this is very much, again, a book that exists. If I do a tier list for like every book I read this year, because recently I did a tier list for every book I've ever every favourite read I've had each year, which is quite a fun video to make. But if I do a tier video for books I read this year, book that exists is definitely a category. Because it's fine, it's easy reading, you don't have to think. But does anything happen in it? Is there character development? Does it make sense with the other books? Who's to say? And finally, not the final book I read this month, but the final book to talk about is When Harry Was Here. And I read, is it You Called Sam? Or You've Reached Sam by this author. Didn't enjoy it. Picked up this one because I thought it could be a good comparison title to book I'm currently querying. And yeah, there's similar themes in it. It's got the half-price sticker. And the similar themes there, but I didn't really enjoy this book. I think this is just, I don't enjoy the author. I've given him a chance now. I don't enjoy the author or specifically his characters, because there are a lot of elements that I do enjoy, but it's just how the characters act and interact with each other I don't enjoy. So yeah, book that exists. Not much more to say about that. And I'm pretty sure that is every book I read this month, because 7 of them I don't have strong opinions on. Little Thieves I do have strong opinions on, but because it is one of my favourite reads of the year so far, I will be mentioning it in... I do like a midway check-in of favourite reads of the year so far, and then the end of year wrap-up list, and I'll probably do a full review for it, even though it came out a while ago now, so it's not like there's going to be much demand for a review of it. But I try and do full-length reviews and blog posts for my favourite reads of each year, just to keep track of myself. So yeah, that is every book I read in the month of April. If you read any of them, let me know below what you thought, and yeah, that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!